Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So I'm doing a little bit of a different video today because I just picked something up, and that is a Colecovision, as you probably read by the title. Now, the reason why I did that, I do have one already, and the controller is giving me a hard time. It's not, the buttons aren't working on the controller. I've tried swapping controllers, I've tried taking it apart, seeing if I could get it fixed somehow. I was just having problems with it. And so one day I was just, thinking about, well, where can I get a replacement Colecovision, or should I try and fix this one? A lot of questions. I didn't know what to do. What's the best approach? And so on a shot, I went on Kijiji, and I thought maybe somebody in the area might be selling one. And this person was selling just the console, which is exactly what I needed. Well, I mean, it would have been better to get the controllers and the power supply too, but I mean, I have those anyways, so it's not a big loss. Now the problem is, because it's just being sold like this, he had no idea if it worked. And so I'm taking a risk when I buy something like this. Whenever you buy any of these old electronics, like any of the old video game systems and all that, I mean, being a retro player, that's what you're always going to run into, is are these things going to work? Even if it's your own and it used to work in the past and you put it away for a number of years, it could just all of a sudden stop working because parts inside, they dry up and they break. Things just wear out. So the guy was asking about $40 for this thing. Canadian money. I'm in Canada. And I thought, well, that's kind of high. At first I asked him if it was still available, and he said yes. And he's like, when do you want to pick it up? And I said, well, I'm assuming it's untested, so would you take $25 for it? And I guess he decided to kind of, counter offer. At first he didn't respond back for a couple of days, and I thought, okay, I guess I scared him off. He probably thinks I'm not serious, or I don't care, or I'm just trying to get it for cheap, and he moved on. So I all of a sudden got an email, and he said, how about 30? I thought about it. I'm like, 25, 30, whatever, $5 off. Either I lose 20 bucks, 30 bucks, whatever. The point is, I'm taking a risk. I'm taking a gamble. And so I finally, met the guy up in the parking lot, and I looked at it, and I asked him what the history was. And he said that he's had it for 10 years, like a decade or so. Because I was worried that, sometimes these type of things, people find them in a secondhand store for cheap, and then they just try and flip it for some coin. Or perhaps, the reason why he didn't have any parts with it was because it was dead, and someone robbed all the parts out of it, sold them individually, and this sort of just ended up in a pile somewhere. But according to him, he's had his father own this from like 10 years ago, and they used to use it. So to his knowledge, it did work. Now that doesn't mean that it will work. Even if it did work, like I said, it looks pretty dirty. If you can see here, there's a little dust and stuff. But I mean, that's just surface dust. I'm not worried about surface dust. But what I am worried about is any kind of corrosion on the inside. And I did look in here, and I could see some little bit of corrosion going on. And more importantly, in the cartridge slot, when I opened up the cartridge slot, now this has a dust protector, but it doesn't always work. So stuff still gets in there, and I could see like there's some piece of tinfoily thing in there. And I mean, I'm not going to be able to show you in there. It's going to be too dark, but I could see a little bit of, corrosion on the board, which kind of worries me. But, sometimes with a little bit of contact cleaner, you can fix that. And it might not even be something that's going to prevent the system from working. And of course, the ports for the controllers. So my thought was, even if it doesn't work, maybe I can kind of take the two consoles, Frankenstein them together to make one console. I don't know. I remember taking mine apart, and it was kind of complicated. It's not like an Atari. So I don't know. He even had the sticker that came off. The sticker was on the back there. I mean, that's no big deal. You can glue these things back on. Just like on cartridges of the old days, they use like a really crappy glue that you could see all the spotting and everything, and then the glue just dries up and the things fall off. A little bit of glue, we'll put that right back on. So I'm more curious to see if this thing is going to work. So let's plug this in, and I'll see if I can get it to do anything. Okay, so I plugged in the power. Now let's. I also put in the RF cable. Let's see if I get anything without a game. Oh, look at that! I got something. Colecovision. Turn game off before inserting cartridge. So this is promising. This is very promising. So now we're going to take a game. Okay, so more importantly, before we start anything, let's clean the game. I got the Q-tip here. Q-tip her up. A little bit of alcohol. It's always nice to clean the game before you try and, you know, get it to work in the system. Because we passed the first test. And now we have to see if it'll recognize a cartridge. ColecoVision presents Nintendo's Donkey Kong. Okay, so we got that far. Now comes the final test. So I found my controller here. This is the Coleco controller. I'm going to put it in there. Player 1, of course. Well, I'm going to turn it off before I do any damage here. Yeah, let's put it back on. In fact, this one seems to be a little bit more responsive than the other one that I have. The other one usually took me a couple of tries just to get the thing to turn on. Alright, there's our skill screen. Looks beautiful. And we have a jump button again. Seems responsive. I'm impressed. I was really gearing myself up that this thing was not going to work. Okay, so it looks like it worked. I'm really stoked. You know, $30 solved my problem. I'm still concerned about some of the dirt inside there, but at this point, I don't know if it's worth it for me to open the sucker up and try and clean it out. I know a lot of people do that. They'll actually open it up, they'll give it a nice bath, but taking a ColecoVision apart is not easy. Taking an Atari apart is easy. ColecoVision, not so much. It's got that piece on the front. You have to literally pull it apart, and it feels like you're going to bust it. Now, speaking of busting things, the reason why I needed to get a new ColecoVision was because the controller port was not working properly. And this was the culprit. I ordered these controllers. In fact, I got 2 of them on eBay. I took a shot in the dark again. And one of them works fine. The other one, there's problems with it. But what happened was my controllers have been plugged into my ColecoVision for so long that when I was pulling it out, it was literally stuck in the little port where you plug your joystick in. And so I had to wiggle the thing until I pulled it out. Then I had to put this one in, and I played, I tested it, everything worked fine, and then I unplugged it. Then I put back the original controller, and I must have done some damage, because after that point, the fire button did not work. I even tried putting this thing back in, and it still didn't work. So I had this on hold for a long time because I couldn't play properly on my ColecoVision. I also have a bunch of games that I want to play. So yeah, so now that I got this working, look out for this video so I can actually talk about this little guy for a bit and give it a shot on the game that I bought it for. Anyways, hope you liked the video. I'm so happy this turned out for me because I was totally prepared to get a blank screen. I was totally prepared to give the big sad face that I just lost $30 and I'm still without ColecoVision. But it worked out in the end. I'm totally happy. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think of the ColecoVision. Did you have one? Do you like it? Do you play it? I always like to hear that down in the comments below. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.